I call the Honourable Tuhoe Henare. Morena and Tanakwe, Mr. Henare.
Kia ora. Mea tūtai kia kouti aku rangatira Tuhoe tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou o koutou haere mai tēnei rā. Urewera aku tuakana. Tēnā koutou katoa. Mr. Speaker, I thought I might do something different and speak from notes. And I want to read to the House and into the record the second schedule of the Te Urewera District Native Reserved Act 1896. Second schedule, Premier's Office, Wellington, 25th of September 1895. To the persons who came hither to present Tuhoe and who have addressed me with reference to certain matters affecting the tribe. Friends, salutations. In response to your application that I should give you an answer to the matters brought before me and acquaint you with the decision of the government thereon, in fulfilment of my promise, I now address this communication to you. In the first place, you ask that the rohepotai of Tuhoe land, that is to say the country known as that of the Urewera, be permanently determined, and in order to do this, that a commissioner be appointed to define the boundary known as the rohepotai. I do not see why this cannot be done. I have no objection to that. The boundaries of these lands can be determined by the trig stations that have been erected. You ask also that a commissioner be appointed to inquire into the title of the persons owning land within the said rohepotai, and to determine the boundaries of land belonging to hapu and persons who consider that the land is theirs. His decision to be set down in writing. The Commissioner also to make a sketch plan for the country, to be approved by the Surveyor General, the boundaries of the land belonging to the hapus being determined by landmarks where possible to do so. If not, then to be surveyed with the concurrence of the owners of the land. In coming to such a decision, the Commissioner must pay due consideration to native manners and customs, and where it is possible to do so, he must follow the boundaries of the several hapus, each block to be dealt with in a clear and proper manner. In dealing with the title of a person and his family, they must be deemed to be joint tenants. When the Commissioner has concluded his investigation into the title of the several blocks, then the Māori who are in a block of land belonging to a hapu may elect a local committee, the members of which must not exceed 7 in number. This committee to be an administrative one, to act for the owners of the land for the period for which they were elected. The number of these local committees should be determined by the number of hapu and the owners of the blocks of land. You ask further that a general committee be appointed to deal with the tribal lands generally, and that the decisions and proceedings of the said committee be binding on the local committees in hapu. Its proceedings to be conducted in accordance with Māori manners and customs. I think that such a committee should be appointed, and in order to give effect to this, I agree that each local committee or hapu should elect one of their number to be a member of the General Committee. All those decisions of the General Committee to be communicated to the local committees for their guidance. The regulations for the appointment of a Commissioner and for the election of members of local committees and of General Committee will be communicated later on, after an Act has been passed giving effect to that, to what is here set forth, which will be explained by the Honourable Mr. Carroll and Wee Pere, Member for the Eastern Māori Electorate District to Tuhoe. You also remind me of the promise that I made when I visited you a short time back with reference to the establishment of schools at some of your principal kainga. As I feel that the education of your children will give you pleasure and that the children will benefit thereby in the time to come, the erection of school buildings will be proceeded with forthwith. I regret very much that this has not been proceeded with sooner, but I will give instructions to have it done forthwith. You refer to roadworks in your district. and asked that certain sections be given for the Māori to do, and that when the roads are finished, that certain portions be given to the Māori to maintain. These requests are reasonable and will be given effect to. As you feel that it would be desirable to provide an additional attraction to European tourists and at the same time provide you with additional sources of food, you have asked the arrangements be made for the introduction of English birds and by stocking the rivers with English fish. By such means, you Māoris will be benefited and the rest of the colony as well. I will place myself in communication with the curator of the fish ponds at Masterton and ascertain whether there are any English trout that can be supplied to you this year, so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, as a second-generation urban dweller, I always wondered what Tuhoe was on about when he used to refer to the nation of Tuhoe. I always wondered, well, hang on, what about Ngāpuhi? What about Ngāpuhi? What about everybody else? Why do I only ever hear about the nation of Tuhoe? Mr. Speaker, in the 1860s, on rolled through Tuhoe lands one of the biggest confiscations that this country has ever seen. In the 1890s, a bill that sets out the rangatiratanga, that sets out mana Māori motuhake in a form that we've never seen. In a bill, the Prime Minister, the Premier, in that second schedule to the bill, sets out what he wanted for Tuhoe and allowed them to have basically what I read as self-governance. Basically what I read as being a nation. Mr. Speaker, it set out a commissioner of lands. It set out tribal land committees, even before we knew about Māori committees and all sorts of things today. It established Tuhoe schools. It even talked about roadworks. We've been doing the go sign for years, Mr. Speaker. And finally it talks about the fish in the lake from Masterton, Mr. Speaker. That's what Tuhoe was on about when I used to hear him talk about what the Tuhoe nation was. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'm really overwhelmed that we've got to this position. I can't, as chairman of the Select Committee, wait till we get up to have our first hearing on top of Taiaraia, and wherever they want to take us to school us up on what it is in the bill that makes them want to sign, makes them want to get it over and done with. I'm not of the school that thinks we should be looking at the bill and wondering if it's okay. I'm of the school that we should ask Tuhoe if it's okay. If it's okay, then let's get on with it. And my wish is that my colleagues on the Select Committee feel the same way, and as soon as practically possible, we can get it back into the House and on to its Committee of the Whole House and third reading, and there would be a very good New Year's gift to Tuhoe, Mr. Speaker. But I also have to mention that after the tanks rolled in, even before we had tanks, in the 1860s, the horrible thought that in 1916, you know, we talk about the Māori land wars and issues of the 1840s, the 1850s, the 1860s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and we think, oh, well, it all ended in that century. But it didn't. we thought it ended in 1916, but it didn't. And only a couple of years ago, why would you send people dressed in black balaclavas and tooled up to the nines into a land, into a nation, into a country? And I say into a country because that's actually what Seddon referred to, the Tuhoe people. I haven't heard the bell.
I know, I was so deeply listening, Mr. Hanari, I forgot to press it.
So when you push the bell, I'll have 2 minutes left. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, it is a country. Mr. Speaker, I've never heard anybody, but I have heard outside the House and reference made by my colleague and very dear friend and good friend, the Honourable Annette King, say sorry. But I want to also apologise to my tuakana for those dastardly raids that are a blight on this nation's history. They are a blight on this nation's history. Why would you do that? Why would you go out of your way to treat people like that after you've treated them poorly right throughout history? A continuation of what I see as just absolute poor behaviour by a government. And it doesn't matter whether it's a Labour government or a national government. We are all part and parcel of this parliament. So we bear the shame of that day. Mr. Speaker, I'll close by saying this, that apart from Ngāpuhi, Tuhoe people are my favourite people. Kia ora.
Thank you. I call the Honourable Member Meka